Hi, my name is Kyle Rogers. I'm an application engineer here at CamLogic, and I'm excited to show you some tips and tricks for DfAM, or better known as design for additive manufacturing.
In today's video, I'll be going over the importance of knowing where your start and stop point is in your part based on the kind of geometry that you may have. As you can see, we have 3 different examples of showing different kinds of geometry to see exactly where it puts that start-stop point. Jumping into our first example, we'll go into the internal view and go to the 2D. And if we zoom in to this upper left corner and in relationship to your printer, this will be the back left corner of your build plate. You can see that the start-stop point is put right there on that corner. Now when we cycle through the layers, you can see that it keeps that start-stop point consistent throughout the entire print, so it keeps that seam right in that corner. Now if we look down here at these 2 holes, you can see that it puts the start-stop point towards the back of the printer. And when you cycle through the layers again, you can see that it keeps that start-stop point in a constant position throughout the entire part. And you'll be able to see more examples of that when we jump into this next example. In this example, we'll zoom into the left corner again, and you can see that it puts the start-stop point towards the back of the printer regardless of where it falls on this geometry. Unlike the last example, it doesn't have a true corner for the start point to be, so it's just going to put it at the furthest point back on that feature as your start-stop point. And looking around at the other features on this part, you can see that it keeps that start-stop point consistent with facing towards the back of the build plate, regardless of where the start-stop point is in relationship to the part. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that we do have a corner that we could go ahead and use as our start-stop point. Now, in order to get that corner to be our start-stop point, we'll have to go through and change the orientation of our part on the print bed to get that corner to be the furthest point towards the back of the build plate to get that to be your start-stop point. Now, to confirm that that did what we wanted to do, we will jump back into our 2D view, and you can see now that it puts that start-stop point on your outer layer at this top corner, regardless of it being in the back left or the upper right. It's going to put it in the furthest point back of your build plate, and it keeps that consistent throughout the entire part. Now jumping into our third example, you'll see it's a different type of geometry that is a more round feature. So looking at our internal view in our 2D, you can see that it's going to put our start-stop point towards the back side of the print bed, the same as it has for the previous examples. And it does that with every feature that is on this particular part. And as we scroll through the layers, you can see that it keeps that start-stop point consistent all the way up the part. So essentially you will have a seam where that start-stop point is coming up this back surface. Now a different example of this is if we have a different orientation where this boss feature is facing towards the back of the print. Now what this will do is it'll put the start-stop point in the back still, but as we scroll up through the layers, you can see that it's going to have that start-stop point where your supports are. Now essentially this will still work, but you'll get a much better quality print when your start-stop point is not going to be starting where your supports are, and you'll have a much cleaner surface when you remove your supports. I've been scrolling through this geometry, you can see that the start-stop point changes based on the kind of features that you are printing for this particular layer. Now, I hope everybody enjoyed the video and was able to take away some tips and tricks on how to move the start-stop point to ensure that you get the good part. Thank you for watching.